As we increased the number of contractors we placed on assignment, there were increases to the number of staff. There was an increase to the space that we required. We went from a reasonable size office at 2323 to multiple floors within the building. At one point in time, I believe we had 3 to 4 floors of the building. I personally was not a great manager. I did not have a lot of skills in providing performance evaluations, and I was always hesitant to provide negative comment to people whose performance was not to the expectation that I had for them. In the early days of 2323, we hired June Hill as a receptionist. June had worked for Sears as a supervisor, but had been caught in a downsizing. Our previous receptionist had left the confusion of Procom for a quieter life at home. She'd been an excellent individual and accomplished many tasks at the front desk. When June came in, she was a bit overwhelmed. The easiest way to describe June is she was like a deer caught in the headlights of a car. And each time people would come in to say to me, well, you know, June is not performing that well, we've got a problem there. I would say, well, just reduce her tasks, okay? So she doesn't have to do courier, or she doesn't have to do this, or she doesn't have to do that. And they kept on saying, but we need somebody to do it. And they said, well, let's just see how this works out. Eventually we brought down to the fact that June was simply answering the phone. It was a busy job, but that's all she was being asked to do. Then suddenly things started to change. June took back the receptionist. She took all the various duties. She did everything that her predecessor had done and had done more. June stayed with us for many, many years until she eventually retired to Barrie. So when people ask me, why did you keep June around? I said, you know, she looked exactly like my mother and I just couldn't fire my mother. One day when asked why I'd not let June go earlier, I shared a perception I had. My mother had been caught in similar circumstances when my father had died. And she too had to go back into the workforce, and she too had been challenged. And she got a job in Port Colborne with an excellent manager who took care of her. And when I saw June, I saw a person in the same circumstances, and I had confidence that she had excelled in her previous job and she would excel in this job, and I was right. In truth, this is really not a good indication of Procom's HR management and hiring abilities, but we were flying by the seat of our pants. We were making judgments on the fly, and life was good, it was stressful, it was very, very active. At some point in time, Kevin O'Connell came into the position of HR manager. Kevin had joined us as a recruiter. He'd moved off into different areas, done some special projects for us. But he had a talent for recruiting. He brought order, he brought process, he brought policies. He forced us to recognize the fact that we were a growing number of people and we required the structure that an HR leadership could do. One of his changes, he came in and he said, not only do we need an HR department, we need a legal department. We're doing contracts with various people, and it's necessary for these contracts to reflect our obligations to the individual and our compliance with the law and the terms and conditions with the client. So we went from one person in HR to one person in HR and one person in legal, and then multiple people in each of those two groupings. One of the strengths of Procom has always been our hiring practices. We evaluate and engage people based upon their ability to contribute to the success of the company. And we do so without regard to race or color, gender, age, sexual orientation. These factors are not relevant to the task at hand and the individual's ability to contribute. This is a view which has served us well over the years and contributes to the strength of our organization. Well, we've always worked with people to try and provide feedback on their performance. It was Kevin's leadership on his processes and policies and those that followed, which have contributed to our success in that area. If and when there ever is a need for a separation, the parties to the separation are well aware. Where there is a decision to end a relationship, it does not come as a surprise to the individuals. In the next video, we're going to look at the ups and downs of Procom in the 80s and 90s.